Okay, I want to introduce a concept that I kind of stumbled upon or realized that makes certain things possible in Obsidian that weren't possible before, but are now because Obsidian released the Obsidian CLI. This is this one here, the Obsidian CLI. You can download or install basically from their official website. If you look at this from here, this is very plain. You just see like, okay, you can go to your command line, which is rather boring looking, and control Obsidian. So a lot of people might have asked, okay, for what is the point in this? Like, what can you do that's actually cool or can help me personally to make my life better with Obsidian besides some nerdy tech stuff? And I want to show some of the integrations I did in the past weeks, basically testing this out. And I'm honestly blown away by this. So this is just Excalibur here. I'm just using this for guiding a little bit what I'm talking about. Um, so basically the main idea is Obsidian has a web viewer which is able to render any kind of HTML content. So normally it's websites you can browse just normally like in any other browser. But of course you can also show local files like local HTML files and whatever. And you can also, of course, show local servers that basically point something. So the main idea is basically that we build a local server, and this is way less intimidating than it sounds. And what this does is it just runs some code in the background. We have them running here. It's just some terminal stuff that runs in the background. And it basically provides a website on a local server address. And this website is basically viewn in the web viewer. And the web viewer is a little bit interesting in these terms. It's part of Obsidian. Um, but it's also a little bit disconnected. That's why I drawn it like this. Because normally you couldn't control or do anything uh, inside Obsidian. Like you couldn't tell a website, okay, if I click this button, please open another site in Obsidian or something like this. But now, because of this Obsidian CLI, exactly this is possible. So what you basically do, if you show a website, you click a button, basically the website knows, the button was clicked, it can communicate this back to our local server that is running. And this local server then just says, okay, I'm using the Obsidian CLI to actually do an action in Obsidian. And the same is basically true for your vault. You can basically do anything. You can directly access the data in your vault for like in whatever ways. But you can also utilize again the Obsidian CLI, and you can, for example, query for a base. You have an Obsidian, and Obsidian checks your data, queries it, and it sends the whole content of this query back over the Obsidian CLI to your local server, where you can process, do whatever you want with it, and then, for example, update your website, and this gets shown. So it's kind of like, if I explain it like this, it's like a little bit like, okay, so sounds intriguing. What's the point of this? I have two examples I wanted to show. Like the first one is basically born out of the fact that I work here in basically not a vault like knowledge management, but this is for project management with several people accessing this vault, working inside this vault. And a lot of these people are not so tech savvy like others, like there's different degrees, I would say. And so therefore it's often harder for them to really use all the features available that we have available in our world because they're maybe not so obvious or not so easy to access. So one thing I did was building a homepage. What this homepage does is basically it's pulling the bookmarks that I have in Obsidian. If I go here on the side, onto my bookmarks, I have just like bookmarks there, and it's just pulling these, showing them in a little bit different way. It's doing this live, so to say. So if I change, for example, the order, refresh this page, then you see the order changed here too. So this is like a live update. It actually reads the data from Obsidian uh, just to show it here. But it's not only for showing, it's basically a fully functional homepage for the vault, so to say. So if I click here on something, things actually happen in Obsidian. I can either, in this case, it's just like another bookmark to another, yeah, it was the same actually. that I clicked to another site. We can like everything doesn't matter. You can open your graph views. Can sometimes take a little bit depending on the graph view. We have a very huge vault with tons of data. Like we have, I don't know exactly. If I check here, we might have. Yeah, it's several thousand files. Yeah, that's huge numbers, 20,000, 30,000 files. So it takes always a little bit, but in smaller worlds, this is faster, of course. So, but for us, it's okay. And this is kind of neat to just go around, do some things. I'm testing around currently, basically for accessibility. We have certain project structures that need to follow certain rules. So I basically made something like an input mask where people can basically say, oh, I want a new project. And then once I do this, it's actually creating the file structures in my vault, putting it's calling the templater from Obsidian because we have templates for this, fill it in with the variables that are confirmed here, so you can't send it if there's wrong stuff in. So this kind of functionality is possible. Another thing I want to showcase is a calendar. And oh, I see, there was like it's okay, because I didn't update this. Haha, all right. So let's do it like this. So here we have the calendar, and this is something this was the first experiment I basically did. I searched a long time for a calendar integration where I have full control over the data that actually, like the events that get sent. Because all integrations were in some way restricted. Either they had their own format or whatever. So what this here does is basically it's based on fullcalendar.io, which you can just get from GitHub. It's just a framework basically that lets you display very mobile friendly, very responsive, nicely drawn calendars with a lot of different functionalities that you can utilize. It's a really nice open source project. Um, don't let yourself be afraid if you are on their site and you check the pricing and you see this really doesn't apply to you. Most of the time it's their way of getting some income. It's basically directly support for bigger companies, stuff like this. And the additional things they offer is really not needed in any way, so you can always go with the free version there. So, and what this does is it's rendering these nice layouts. You can have like different views and so on, whatever. But the question is where comes the data from? And full calendar.io is like the framework itself is not handling or it's not storing this event data. So basically you are responsible to provide a JSON file with this data. And this enables the following. Basically what I say here, like how we set it up, we query a base in Obsidian. And I have to actually check the base that we use for this. Oh, I could just go through my homepage actually. Yeah, so we have this calendar base that we did set up that basically queries for markdown files that have an event tag, just a special tag, and then it displays these kind of properties, and the website basically calls this, gets all this data back and uses all this data then to provide a properly formatted JSON so this can be rendered. Sounds rather technical. It's really easy kind of to set up. What I could achieve here is also interactability, so I can, for example, click on an event and the corresponding markdown file that was there for this event gets opened up. So I also see here's a couple stuff in. Depending on, like, you can put anything inside these markdown files, doesn't matter, it's just a normal markdown file. So for other stuff you might have already more information incoming that's whatever, also more kind of metadata. But essentially it's just pulling this data from Obsidian and displaying it. And I didn't implement this here yet, but because I have to do some generalizations in my code. But basically you can query for anything, and you just have to find a way, a logic to say, okay, but what date is this? The easiest one would be for just when the file got created, for example, and then you just have a calendar and see all the files and when they got created, or really whatever you can think of, because in the end you just query the base that you set up, and you can set up in any way you want to query over the data. That's really fast and really strong workflow in my opinion. So yeah, you can cast these by clicking on them. I can also have this interactability that you can most likely know from Google Calendar or stuff. It's really updating the event also, of course. So the markdown file, so the front meta changes when I do this. So I have to be a bit careful because this is like real data here. Yeah, you can also create events by clicking just on a date, or by drag and drop for longer events, and then you can just create it. It gets created. There's automatically a markdown file created with the minimum markdown needed. So I could even, yeah, I can showcase a little bit other things. There's different background event types, basically. So if I just change this here, go back to the calendar, then we see a very interesting thing. So we see this didn't turn, so we think, okay, because we might need to refresh the site. We refresh the site and see, oh, it's really not there. So what's happened? This has a little bit to do with the way I set this up in the first place. So basically, we did something here in our web viewer. This is already basically processed, so this is the state, but this is still the old state. So I have to kind of trigger my server to re-render the website really with the new data. You could program, or I could program it in a way that it's kind of monitoring all the time and doing it automatically, but I think that's really just an overhead that's not needed. So instead, let's close a little bit of the stuff here. Instead, I just have a refresh button. And then you see, okay, now this is like the updated version of the current state of our vault. And we see, okay, now this turned into some kind of other thing, like a background event, and you can control like all the colors, stuff, whatever. So if you delete it, same thing. It's not instantly going away, but you have to kind of refresh. That's just the way I built this. So I think it highlights at least a little bit of functionality that's possible now. So you can basically build any kind of website with all kind of visual stuff, functionality, UI, whatever. And now you can basically not only utilize the data on your vault, you can actually use Obsidian in this way to gather data, process it, show it in a nicely way inside Obsidian because of the web viewer, and then also interact with Obsidian in certain ways. Yeah, so I think for a start that's enough. If there's interest in this kind of thing, I would most likely start showing off a little bit how to actually build these local, like how these local servers work. You just see them here running in a terminal, but this doesn't say anything, right? So, but I think for first introduction, it's a bit too much. So, if people think this is interesting, helpful, could be helpful for them, then yeah, I don't know, drop a like, whatever, press the button. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just doing this on my side basically. So if I see there's interest, I might be faster with putting up the next stuff.